Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Two Thumbs Up Podcast. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Ducky the Gamer, and we are bringing you guys all of the biggest news in mobile gaming. It's been a minute since we've had an episode, but there is a lot to cover with everything that's happening across a lot of different platforms. So we're going to hop right into things. Obviously, the biggest topic that's being talked about, from what I've seen anyway, this is obviously just in the mobile Twitterverse, so that's like probably in the grand scheme of things, not that big, but for us, it seems big. Farlight Mobile is a little bit, it's on the rise right now. Dougie, I know that you've been playing it. What has been your experience with it so far?
It's good. Like, I feel like games recently, either they just set the bars super high, like they set everyone's expectations, at the moon. And then when it comes short, people just think the game, like the launch of the game failed. We're like, no, they just thought the game was going to be the best mobile game ever. But I feel like Farlight, it just kind of came out of nowhere. A lot of people, myself included, had never played the game before the global launch. And so I had no expectations. Like, that's how I want to experience mobile games, is having never played them before. And then just, this is the global launch. This is what they have to offer. And what they have to offer is pretty good. Like, it's a solid gameplay experience. It seems like it can run great, or at least run well on most, if not all, devices. I have experienced literally like 0 frame drops across like 8 hours of gameplay, and that's on max graphics, max FPS, which is only 60 FPS, but still, Apex Mobile couldn't even really do that at times, hit 60 FPS. It's just a good game. Like, that's at the end of the day, it's a good game. It has aspects from a lot of popular shooters. Apex, I feel like Fortnite's thrown in there, PUBG. There's a lot of different elements from a lot of popular shooters and BRs over the last few years, and it seems to be going together really nice. So I like it, but at the same time, I don't want to sit here and say it's the best game I've ever played, because it's not.
Yeah, it's definitely not like blowing every other mobile game out of the water. I think part of it is, number one, it's something new. Number two, it has mechanics that we've never had in a mobile game before. Like, we've never had a mobile title with jetpack movement. I think that really enhances the play style of the game overall, just because there's so many mobile shooters that are like very campy. And I think because of how much the mobile community loves TPP, it's very difficult for a TPP shooter to not be campy. Like, TPP just naturally gives advantages to people that sit behind walls, but that's not really the case with Farlight, because there's like classes that you can use to counter it. You have the jetpacks that allow you to outplay people and get into good positions. And you also have the fact that everything's level up the more that you use it in the game. So it doesn't even like benefit you to camp, because you're going to end up with like worse equipment, and you're going to get obliterated by the people that have been taking gunfights all game. So this is a game that I had high expectations for. I talked about it in past podcasts, and I feel like it hadn't gotten a whole lot of credit. I will say there's been some. What?
I was gonna say, I remember we were talking about, I was like, dude, you got to play this game. And you were like, bro, we've already talked about this before. And I had no, I do. It's because it was like an India only iOS weird beta. I was like, brother, I already have like an Australian account, a Mexico account. I'm not making an Indian like iOS account. Like, I'm not doing this dance anymore. So I was like, I'm waiting for the game to come out. And I'm glad I did. But yeah, I just want to say, I got to give you props, because you were talking about it and I just like didn't care ratio to you. So sorry about that.
It's all good. I mean, yeah, I'm glad that people are starting to see what it has. And I think a big reason, like, obviously I enjoyed the gameplay of it, but also the fact that even before they were globally launched, they already had like an in-game esports system, which is really cool, and hosting not even like major tournaments, but at least like daily cash cup type things in every single region is really cool, and not something that we've seen. Like, we've never seen a mobile title launch with that much esports focus before. So that was something that's a really good sign to me, and I think is going to be their greatest marketing effort, because their marketing is one of the things that has been most in question. Obviously, prior to launch, they had some interesting posts, including characters from their game that weren't wearing a lot of clothing. I think it happened on multiple occasions.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
I think one was worse than the other, and I think there's one that people were like, "Ooh, this is kind of weird," and they like did it again, and I was like, "Okay, this is just bad. Like, this is not representing a game well. Like, this is like if a fan of a game did this, but like it's a weird fan. Like, you don't want to see this on your timeline. This is something like, oh, like the official game made this. Like, so yeah, I don't know. Marketing aside, like I will say, I feel like it's better to have a game rise up in popularity because of word of mouth and because, I like the amount of times people have asked me, are you sponsored to play this game? I'm like, dude, no, it's just a game. Like, it's a good game. Mobile hasn't had a lot of good games in the last year or so to recommend, or it's like Apex Mobile that only runs really great on top-end devices, or games that you have to have a workaround to play. And this is just a game. Go to the App Store, download it in 2 seconds. It's a small file size, and so it's really easy to recommend people to try. If you don't like it, cool. Then you can just go ahead, delete it. I don't know, go on your day. But the amount of people come to my chat and say, like, I play this game because you recommended it and it's fun. Like, that's really cool to see.
Yeah.
And so their marketing is non-existent at the moment. I don't think they've had any sponsor creators. They've done nothing. But also, they're not doing what Apex did, where they paid Mr. Beast, where they paid every creator under the sun to make sponsored content, where that worked at the start, but they had nothing to back it up. So I would rather maybe if they know, because there's a lot of things missing from the game. There's no controller support. The sensitivity settings are very, very like 2020, 2019. Like they're very out of date. A lot of the settings and options aren't up to date with what you would consider like a standard mobile shooter nowadays. So maybe they're waiting to implement some of those features, but it's also like, bro, you had 2 years to add controller support. Where's the, Like they were having controller support in Fortnite in like 2018 on mobile. Like that was one of the first games to do it. So it's questionable, and like the game launched and it's good, but there's also a lot of things like bare essentials that I think are missing. So maybe they're waiting for that to make a marketing push, maybe work with creators or just, actually spend some money on advertising on the game. But it's good so far.
Yeah, it is surprising that they had that much time and then decided to global launch. Like, you would think you would want the global launch to be where you have all those features that you plan on adding. So it is unusual. Obviously, with the global launch, they also had a Steam version of the game, which is something. Oh my God,
have you played this?
I have not.
Have you played the Steam version?
I have not.
Oh my, yeah, sorry,
Steam charts, Farlight 84. I know the numbers have been on the rise. I've heard that it is not great. Yeah, I mean, it's been like increasing in players day over day, up to like 3,800 concurrent players a couple days ago. So
that's not bad
overall.
I mean, okay. So I played it yesterday because I was curious, because I was like, one, the graphics on mobile like are good. It's surprising how good those graphics are and how well they run for a brand new mobile game. But the gameplay I'd seen on PC, it looked like they were just the mobile graphics. Like whenever you compare COD Mobile to COD Modern Warfare 2, the graphics are night and day. You can obviously tell which one's the mobile game. Same thing with Fortnite. You could tell max graphics, which one's the mobile, which one's the PC. It's pretty similar. And I was like, okay, this is pretty interesting, like max graphics on both. And then in the settings menu, it's the same settings menu. For if you want to change your FPS on PC, it's low, medium, and like max FPS. There's no slider, there's no number. You can't like say, I want to put my frames at 200. You just say max FPS. Same thing with graphics. There's no anti-aliasing. There's no like a breakdown of what graphics, your render distance, your effects. You can't change the quality of certain things. It's just low, medium, high, ultra graphics. And then on top of that, you can't change the keybinds on PC.
Okay, so everything you said before sounds like pretty standard for mobile ported to PC, but not being able to change keybinds is definitely a no.
Yeah. But wait, so and that's what I was realizing. I was like, wait, this game was made for mobile, but they just happened to release it on PC. I've never played a game like that. I've only played games.
Homie, you literally played Rules of Survival.
Okay, bro, but that was like recent games. Like that was like 4 years ago. You know what I mean?
Rules of Survival is like the best point of reference for this game.
Okay. Fair, but I also just didn't have a lot of experience with it.
All right.
So, but like any other game I've ever played has been PC to mobile. But this is probably the first ever, in recent memory, mobile to PC game that I've ever played. And it is shocking the lack of effort that is on the PC side of things, considering that's really where this game could shine. Like, you have a lot of people asking me, like, can you play this game with a controller?
You think this could shine more on PC than on mobile?
Wait, I was getting there, buddy.
That's what you just said, though.
I said, no. I said that's one of the aspects that could shine is the cross-platform nature of the game. Not the PC version will not be the main focal point of the game. I don't think ever.
Okay.
But I meant to say that the cross-platformness of the game is where it could add a selling point of, I don't know. There's just not a lot of cross-platform. I don't think there's any cross-platform unless, COD Mobile's emulator, the emulator. Yeah, I don't think there's any cross-platform mobile versus PC games out there nowadays.
Yeah.
And so if they do some adjustments and optimize the PC version of the game and more PC-focused creators are playing it, we could then get that brawl of mobile versus PC skill that we had back in Fortnite and that we've never seen again. And that could lead to some really interesting clips, really interesting tournaments. Because it's already built in. You can, I had a Steam player in my game yesterday, and so we were cross-platforming him with those lobbies. I think they're a bit more bot-filled because I don't think there's as many people on Steam as there is on mobile.
Yep.
But I think it's a big potential, but it doesn't seem like they're really trying to capitalize on it. They're like, take an extra day or two to port it over to PC. Let's just do it, get it out of the way, and then just leave it be. Where I feel like that could be like a place where, a big feature of this game could be if there's the cross-platform nature.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it does have a lot of potential. I think that's part of the reason that it's been getting like increases in viewership as well. And that was a big thing for Rules of Survival. Like Noah was by far the biggest Rules of Survival content creator, and he played the game exclusively on PC. So obviously, I think mobile players have improved significantly since Rules of Survival came out. But at the same time, like there is that potential that a PC content creator starts to blow up as a result and pulls over people from that side of things as well. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And we've definitely seen the viewership rise, like taking a look at the trends charts and everything else. Right now, it's surpassing the popularity of Arena Breakout, and it's coming up on there for the popularity of Warzone Mobile, at least in regards to YouTube searches. It's been interesting to see the takes on it on Twitter. And right now, Warzone Mobile definitely above as far as web searches, but the YouTube searches between Warzone Mobile and Farlight are pretty much hand in hand right now, like right next to each other on the charts, especially if you look at the past 7 days. So it's going to be interesting to see how things continue to scale, but overall, I think it's got potential. I think they fixed some of those major issues. At least for the time being, like Warzone Mobile continues to get pushed back. And obviously people say, oh, Warzone Mobile's not in global launch, this isn't global launch. Yeah, but Warzone Mobile has probably at this point spent like millions of dollars in marketing.
They probably spent $1 million on getting harder creators out to a different country and host that event. Like
exactly. Like you talk about, and you look at like the overall, how long ago was that? That was
November. That was 6 months ago.
Yeah, so November was when it peaked in popularity, and obviously Farlight is only at like 18% of what it was in November, but at the same time, for that to happen with zero marketing, and especially you're going up against a title that has like as much brand recognition as Warzone Mobile, that's a huge W for Farlight, especially given what they've been able to do without spending any additional money so far. I do think they need to just hire a new social media marketing team altogether.
Dude, I think it's Zach. I'm not trolling.
Zach. It's not Zach.
No. I know it's not him, but
I know he has input on it.
I think he has a lot more input than he would want people to believe, which is not a bad thing because they need help. But it was like I think he tweeted something like hopefully you guys have noticed a change in the social media, like something like pretty much kind of helping Taylor, which is good because they needed the help. But like it seems in their Discord is like heavily ran by like I think there's literally like 4 employees online right now of the entire company in the Discord, and the rest, like the only people I've had contact with like have all been creators. Like the creators have helped me do this, the creators have helped me like relay, and it's like I don't something seems off about this. It's like it's almost as they've dropped the game. They're like hey, you guys have fun, man. Like, hey, like you stay safe. Make sure it's almost like you're sending a kid off to school. Like, I don't know. I'll see you guys later, kind of thing. It doesn't feel like they're trying to like nurture a popular game. It just like they released it and they're like, hey, like good job, team. The game's out, and it seems like they gave up. Like this is where you should be putting the pedal to the metal, like spending the money, if anything. But I don't know. What I know about a game launch, I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, originally I was under the assumption, just because of like how the game's social media is run, everything that was happening around the game, I was under the assumption that it was like a small indie developer. I didn't realize that it was run and developed by a $5 billion corporation. So like
who's that?
Lilith. So they made
Warpath, games, yeah.
Dislight, I think is like I think it's considered Rise of Kingdoms is the popular one. I think that's actually one that has like a lot of cringe ads as well. So given that, it kind of makes a little more sense. I wish they would just hire like a completely different marketing team, because once again, this is a game with a lot of potential, and I think if you build a proper community around it, you can make something happen. But I think if you give it that reputation of corny mobile game ads, I think that can be an instant turnoff to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, especially it does have a lot of it's taken a lot of inspiration from other games like Apex. It has just hero selection screen, the heroes with all the abilities, and the kill feed is very PUBG-esque. Like, I feel like there's a lot, like, it's already kind of battling against a stigma of this game might just be a copycat of other games. And so they really need, they need to excel in the areas they can, which is marketing and social media management, and like giving the rest of their game a good presence and like a new game feel, not a reskin. Or the amount of people who said, bro, this looks exactly like Creative Destruction. Like, a lot of people come in and say, like, this looks exactly like blank. This feels like blank, which isn't a bad thing. But then you need to mold its identity. Once you have those people on your game, you need to let them feel like it's something unique. And right now, it doesn't feel like it's doing that like outside of the game. Yeah. Like, it feels like a class project, if anything. Like, doesn't feel very serious in nature. But I know they are serious because, like, they're obviously making a lot of improvements, working with creators, like trying to foster something. But I think time will tell. Time will tell is it's been a good saying for the last few years of mobile. Like, you'll just, it's the best way to figure out something's going to last or not. So, I don't know. I have hopes I hope it does well, but I don't have expectations because I don't want to think it's going to be the next big game. And then they don't have, their seasons right now are like 3 months long. Oh. So, yeah,
Listen. It can't be worse than Apex Mobile.
It can't. I mean, well, there is one thing in the game. I don't know if you're accustomed to this, but limited time cosmetics that you buy.
Oh, that's weird.
You ever heard of that? Yeah. So in there, I will say, for one of their draws, it's like 9 or 12 items. You get everything: a skin, weapon skins, avatar frames for like $20. So that's a lot cheaper than COD Mobile.
Yeah.
But there are other draws. Time? No. So that is a draw where it's an example of everything is permanent. But there's another draw where it's 50 cents per like spin or per, it's like they call it a lottery, like 50 cents per whatever. So you can do 10 of those for $5. So it's like, all right, I get 10 cosmetics for $5. That's a pretty good deal. It's a really good deal as far as mobile games go. I did one the other day. 7 of the things I got were 24-hour limited time cosmetics. The other 3 were permanent. So I basically paid $5 for 3 cosmetics when it was really advertised as 10, because 7 of those aren't going to exist anymore. And I was like, dude, I was on stream. I was like, what's happening? People were like, oh, this is in PUBG. And I was like, oh, great. That doesn't mean you have to copy it. Like, this is a terrible, I get it. You want people
Ducky, have you seen, there's no other mobile game where you can buy a single item for $5, let alone 3 items for $5 and 7 temporaries.
I don't know. I'm
not a huge fan of temporaries, but also like, with the, like, me personally, the amount of stuff that I have in COD Mobile, especially as a content creator, most of the time I get a skin, I make a video on it, and then I use it like maybe 1 or 2 more times ever. Like,
yeah, it's fair.
Me personally, I would rather have that than having to spend like $120 for it guaranteed.
Well, it's weird because some of the items are also, or like it could be a skin item that like they have a limited time and a permanent in the same crate. So if you're hunting for this one item, I just would feel terrible if I was paid, $100 to try to hunt and get the skin that I wanted, and then I finally get it and it's limited time. Like, I don't even get to keep the skin that I wanted from the whole draw. And I don't know. It's something that I've never experienced before. I know mobile games are, I know Apex's monetization was horrendous, and this one is light years better in a lot of ways. It's just this one aspect that I am new to. But I guess when you put it like that, it's still, I mean, compared to other mobile games, it's great. But I mean, that's a low. I mean,
as long as they like state in the draw that it's limited time.
No, yeah. Like, you're not.
I don't have an issue with it.
I just feel like it's a low bar to be like it's better than other games because but COD Mobile.
I mean, I feel like that's all we're going for in mobile right now. Like, we just want somebody to be better than what we already have. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me being around mobile for too long, but.
No, you're right.
Yeah. I don't know.
So we'll see what happens to the game. I'm excited. But something else that's new this year is the Mobis, or the mobile. Oh, is that stand for anything?
I think it's just the mobile awards.
Okay, if you guys ever heard of the Esports Awards, it's basically once a year. They give out awards for like the best pro player, the best pro team, the best creator agency, the best videographer, like whatever. And that's cool and all, but mobile players were like historically never featured in that, or mobile creators or teams were never a part of it. So I think it was Mobile Matt, and who else? Do you know who else was a part of the team?
Like a part of the award show? I know Mobile
Matt's the creation team. Was that his idea to make it?
I believe so.
Okay. So there's a person, Mobile Matt. He's been in the mobile community for years. You guys might have heard of him. He does a lot of behind the scenes thing. He wanted to make an esports awards, but just for mobile. And it's called the Mobis, the Mobile Awards. And they just last week, I believe, came out with the nominees for all the categories. And here, do you have those pulled up?
Yeah, I'll send you. Let's see. This is.
I already voted, actually. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing my deed.
Oh, I don't think I actually have yet. So that's Mobile Game of the Year. I think that's one that we can definitely talk about. Mobile Competitive Game of the Year is one that I saw like some maybe some backlash on because COD Mobile wasn't in there. But I think the objective of the Competitive Game of the Year is to like highlight the game with the best competitive scene. And as somebody who is incredibly involved in the COD Mobile competitive scene, especially over the past year, it was definitely not one of the best ones. Now, that being said, they've made some big improvements, and they have like a lot of things coming for 2023. So maybe 2024, maybe it'll be in that conversation. But I think I mean,
it had Mobile Esports Tournament of the Year. COD Mobile was nominated for that.
Well, that was just for Stage 5. Rather than the other ones are like looking at the entire year's worth. So like Stage 5 was solid, but for the rest of the year you had nothing for COD Mobile.
Yeah, I will say Mobile App of the Year is an interesting category because it's Aim Labs Mobile, which is an aim training software. You have Discord, which is a communication platform, TikTok, which is social media, Twitter, which is social media, Xbox Game Pass, which I don't know what that does on mobile.
I don't even know what that does.
I know there's oh wait, more info. What does this do? Nothing. There's nothing info on it. But I know you can cloud game on Xbox, but that's not the app. It's like xbox.com, and you just sign into your Xbox account, and you can like cloud games, some certain games, and then YouTube. Like that's just the most random category because it's not like mobile social media of the year, but it's like Aim Labs doesn't belong there. Xbox is like, I don't.
Wait, why doesn't Aim Lab belong there?
Well, it's like you have 4 social medias and then like a game platform and then an aim trainer. Like
I feel like an aim trainer is an app because it's not like a game.
No, I know. Like it definitely fits the criteria, but just when I compare it to the other apps up there, it's like that's out of place.
Yeah, like, I think they're all just kind of.
Yeah, but then again, TikTok Mobile App of the Year.
It's an odd category anyway, because like, what else would you even put in there? I think Discord's the only one that makes sense to even vote for, to be honest. Like, because that's the app of gamers, you know?
Yeah. And then another thing is coverage platform of the year. I hadn't heard of. There's 6 things on the list. I'll just list them out: AFK Gaming, Gaming on Phone, Liquipedia, One Esports, Pocket Gamer, and Pocket Tactics. I research a lot of things for videos sometimes. A lot of articles, a lot of documents to make sure I'm citing the correct resources. I have never heard of 5 of these websites. The only one I've heard of is Liquipedia, and that's because they just are like they're like a Wikipedia but for gaming. They usually have teams, they have esports, they have players. It's a really good database to go and just get data on specific things. But I haven't heard of. Have you heard of the other 5?
I've heard of them. I did like an interview with One Esports, so they're the one that I'm like most familiar with, but most of the rest of them I don't really. There's not like a lot of great coverage platforms for mobile in general, so maybe this will like highlight some. But also people just don't really like reading, so.
Or, I mean, but also are these mobile specific platforms?
Yeah, well,
like mobile
Wikipedia isn't, but they have like a mobile focused division.
Okay, well, because I was going to say, like, you can argue that a lot of big mobile news just gets covered by all the outlets.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I don't know if there's enough mobile news in general to have, like, I wouldn't think that, at least from the outside, but do you want to talk about Creator of the Year?
Yeah, Creator of the Year was definitely interesting. I think there's a lot of names on there that were definitely expected, definitely well deserved. I felt like Winsanity most definitely got snubbed. If I was to pick one, and for those of you who don't know, the nominees were obviously Ferg, COD Mobile primarily. Jonathan Gaming, I think, is PUBG.
Yeah. No, he's PUBG.
Okay, so he's like a really big PUBG guy, very active. Judo Sloth, I think, also is very deserving of being on there. He was definitely one of my top picks. He has been absolutely huge in Clash of Clans and kind of reviving the content scene for that. He gets like at least 1 million views a video, so he has been absolutely dominating the Clash of Clans scene. Levino, obviously a massive PUBG guy. Mortal was the one that was in there that was like, guys, like, I understand that Mortal did big things, big numbers for PUBG back in the day. I don't think Mortal has posted a mobile piece of content in the last 6 months. He like had a little Last of Us phase. He had a GTA phase. He like hasn't touched PUBG Mobile. He hasn't touched anything mobile related unless it's like a paid like sponsored thing for a phone or whatever. So that's the one in there. I'm like, yeah, Winsanity should have had that spot in my opinion. But Panda obviously also huge in PUBG Mobile, and then Radio Tivo I believe is a big Free Fire guy, maybe more on the esports side of things. Haven't watched a whole lot of his stuff, but overall, I think it was solid. I just felt like Winsanity got snubbed big time.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe I think Judo would be my number one pick. I feel like Content Creator of the Year it should mean like whose content that year was the most transformative for their genre.
Yeah.
And I feel like not who pulls the most views, because then some games are less popular, and so by nature it's impossible to, like, let's say beat a Panda where, you know, they pull like 50. Wait, how many views? They used to pull like, bro.
He used to do like 5 mil a video. I don't think
that's
he does
what I'm
anymore,
saying.
But
like he used to pull crazy.
He doesn't post as much anymore, and it's like 500K to 1 million, but it's still big numbers.
Yeah, but and then again, I think a lot of mobile creators, I mean myself included, have entered this like. At least I kind of plan to enter the beginning of this year as kind of like just a steady state where like I'm not trying to improve my content, but I don't want it to get worse. I just want to I just want to get something out there that I think is good. And I think a lot of creators have done that. Besides the fact of Judo, where I think he has been pushing his content, the quality of his content's been fantastic. The variety of his content, he is informative, he's educational, he's entertaining. And it might be Clash of Clans, a game you guys never play, but he's definitely, like, there's usually a guy for every game. There's the Ninja of Fortnite. There's the Ferg or the Bobby plays for COD Mobile. The Panda for PUBG. You know, I wasn't trying to snub you there. Trying to give you the credit. And I think he has become the Clash of Clans guy. And out of all those on the list, he's the only one that, like, stands out. But let me go see Jonathan Gaming.
And that's
he has
part of the
5 million?
Yeah, Jonathan is really, really big. Obviously, PUBG, big numbers across the board. But
I mean, he's only posted, okay, like, was there the goal for creators to pick the least active creators on the list?
Listen.
No, this isn't, I'm not like, but I go to his channel, he posted 3 weeks ago, it's a supercar video. He posted a month ago, and it's, the last 3 posts, one was his car and 2 were sponsored Samsung posts. And then, let's see.
Yeah, I guess he's only posted 12 times in the past year.
And well, actually, Levino, they've been still posting a lot of content, which is, you know, good. Obviously, Ferg he posts a good amount. I don't think he posts as much as he used to. And then Panda, same thing, doesn't really post a lot.
Yeah, but I think a lot of these were almost like legacy nominees. So next year, I'd definitely like to see a little more research go into it, because like you look at Winsanity, especially as far as like streams and long form content, he uploads more than anybody on this, except for maybe Judo. Like there is absolutely no question. He's also the only guy on the list that is like a real multi-game content creator. And he like covers everything that he can, and he plays the games that he enjoys. So he's had like 100K plus view videos for, like, he had 100K Clash of Clans
video, yeah,
that was sponsored. He
Yeah.
has had 100K plus for Warzone Mobile. He's had, I don't think any of his Farlight stuff has hit 100K yet, but I'm assuming that it probably will. New State, PUBG Mobile, like, he covers everything, and it's just mind-boggling to me that he's not in there, because I think he's the most versatile of all the content creators, and the one of the most consistent mobile content creators out there as well.
He's basically just him, bro.
Yeah.
Can I say?
Yeah.
What about is there anything else? Oh, mobile device of the year. I think this is hilarious, personally.
Why?
Because, well, it's like the OnePlus 11, which I'm partnering with them right now, and the phone's good. It's it's really good, but like comparing anything on that list to the iPhone 14 Pro Max, like there's just
iPhone 14 Pro Max is not used by like any pro players.
Yeah, but that's because all the pro players they have to change devices anyways to.
No.
What?
Literally every pro player uses either a Red Magic or a ROG. Nobody uses iPhones.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just stuck in content mode where I can't making content on Androids is more of a struggle.
I think the iPad Pro should have been on there instead of the iPhone 14 Pro
Yeah,
Max.
okay, agreed.
But
yeah,
maybe
they're trying to pull out
I wanted on there. I don't think the Samsung Galaxy S23 should have been on there at all.
Maybe.
I don't know anybody that's not sponsored by Samsung that makes content on Samsung devices.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to pull one of those iPads aren't mobile devices themes. But I agree. This definitely feels like a very legacy list of certain games and categories where, I mean, this year, if Warzone Mobile drops, which we'll talk about in a second, like if that comes out, that should see a rise to a good chunk of creators. Maybe even Farlight, depending on the success of the game, can see some new creators hit new heights. And so I would really like to see next year some of the more in touch creators be represented, and more maybe in like it just some of the picks are like that's spot on, but some of the things are like, hey yo.
Mm-hmm.
So come on, Bobby, you gotta do better, bro.
Hey, listen, I did my part. Okay, I did everything that I could. Yeah, overall, I think it's a good start, but definitely a lot of improvement on the nominees. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Lots more. We still have a buttload more to cover, and we are already 32 minutes in.
Yo, dude, is this gonna be our first hour long?
It might be.
Poggers.
So obviously, one of the big talking points over the past year has been the fact that Microsoft is trying to acquire Activision. Everybody knows who Microsoft is.
Wait, what? Who? Sorry,
what do you mean trying?
No, you said everyone knows, and I said, wait, who are they? I tried to who Omega. Yeah, that was bad. Continue on. Sorry.
But anyways, initially there was we already knew there was like a countersuit from the SEC or whatever commissioning board is in charge in North America of mergers and acquisitions and monopolies or whatever it is. So we know that it was already countersued there, and then Europe just like completely blocked it altogether. Now, I don't know if maybe they have a different format of phrasing everything, because it seems like even despite the fact that Europe blocked it, people are still optimistic that the acquisition is going to go through. But it's definitely an interesting transpiring of events, just because this is something that was very much talked about, especially in the capacity that the reason the phasing out of COD Mobile was even in discussion is because that was Microsoft's plan upon acquiring Activision, so that they could fully focus on Warzone Mobile. So I saw I tweeted out that it seemed like there was a decent chance that the merger wasn't even going to go through. There's a lot of people that are like, yeah, screw Microsoft, they're the worst. I think a lot of people don't understand, eventually COD Mobile is going to get phased out anyway. This is something we talked about before. Every COD gets phased out at some point. At some point, there has to be a new iteration. I'm not saying Warzone Mobile is that iteration, but I want a new Call of Duty game that doesn't have 100 different weapons that I have to choose from, and I want new movement. I want new gunplay. I want a new engine. So I think that's something that would be nice to see in the future. I think overall, Microsoft acquiring Activision would be a W for the mobile scene, because one of their main goals in acquiring Activision is to build out their mobile portfolio, which is non-existent with the exception of Minecraft Pocket Edition, which is fairly lackluster compared to the actual game itself.
It sucks, dude.
So,
Anyways,
I think there's still a chance of the acquisition, but it's looking a little more up in the air right now. I'm not going to be devastated if it goes through or if it doesn't go through, but I think overall, grand scheme of things, I think it is for the better of the mobile community if Microsoft does end up acquiring.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, I mean, if we just go look at the Mobis, like all those developers, it's kind of centralized. Like something that is very popular saying is like competition breeds innovation. If you have one or if 2 or 3 developers in the mobile scene and they're all very comfortable in their place, Supercell has their games and Timmy Studios has their monopoly of all the different, wait, is Timmy?
Well, Tencent. So like Timmy and Lightspeed both fall under Tencent.
Oh, yes, that's what I meant. So yeah, Tencent, who just owns like 80 different development studios, and so it would be really awesome to get a big corporation like Microsoft to get their hands in the door, their feet in the door, themselves inside the door, in the door. I don't know, in the doorway. What? I'm losing my mind, dude. I'm making a meltdown. Anyways, yeah, I think competition would be really great for developers because it definitely seems like right now, if a company wants to make a game, they just go to Tencent. They're like, please let us make this game.
Yeah.
Like, please help me develop it. Where Microsoft could bring, especially this could be a really good addition to the NA and EU player base of mobile games because a lot of people know it's heavily populated by South American players, Southeast Asian players, Asia players. Like that makes up the bulk of the mobile player base, where North America and Europe are so pretty underrepresented by. Dude, I don't know why this one thing is throwing me off. They're underrepresented by the population that plays games. Like, the United States has so many gamers. Like, dudes in their 40s are gaming still on Xbox. Like, that would be a huge way for Microsoft to hopefully transition some of those gamers to the mobile side of things, where they can make a lot more money, because mobile games just typically, on average, make a buttload of money compared to PC and console games.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting. It definitely reminds you a lot of the Fortnite mobile situation, where you have these games companies and they've entered legal jurisdiction, and it's just going to be drawn out, and it's going to be legal jargon and words and papers and contracts, and at the end of the day, a lot of stuff is going to be said, but it doesn't matter until the very final court date, the very final session, where they decide, okay, it'll happen. Like, everyone can doubt it'll happen for the longest time, and all you need is a judge or like a group of legislators like, all right, it's not too bad, we'll let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go through. So that's one thing that I've learned is, no matter, once something enters a legal space, doesn't matter how great it looks or how bad it looks, you just need someone's perspective or a group of people that are very biased one way, and things could flip like that, which is pretty much what happened before in mobile. So it'll be interesting, but like you said, everything phases out eventually. COD Mobile is going to have to get a new engine, going to have to get a new game, COD Mobile 2.0 soon, sometime soon.
Yeah.
And if this is what ends up being the reason, then I'm fine with that. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, another big reason for it is just that it's better for the mobile community if all of mobile is not like insanely dependent on Tencent, because especially as far as shooters go, Tencent runs shooters. Like they ran Apex, they ran COD Mobile, they run PUBG Mobile. Like, they own it with the exception of Free Fire, which doesn't really get played by people. If you have a device that can run better games than Free Fire, you don't play Free Fire. I guess that's the way that I would put it. So because of that, I think it's good to have like you said, diversity of studios, and I think a lot of the things that people hate about mobile games are largely things that are there because of Tencent studios. Like, lucky draws are very much a Tencent thing. That's a big reason why we didn't see as much popularity with Apex, is because of the monetization. And then also, like, Lightspeed's not a great developer in general. PUBG has been insanely buggy for the longest time.
Talk that talk, Bobby. That talk.
And PUBG, it was just the first of its kind, so it's always going to be relevant. Like, it may very well be that PUBG never dies. I think that's a legitimate possibility.
Just kind of like Call of Duty, right?
Yeah, just because the cultural impact that it's had in the regions where it's popular. So PUBG is always going to be there, but for something that's trying to make its way and there's higher standards for it, like Apex, That's a big reason why it got shut down. So I think having mobile development studios in North America definitely can help change a lot of those things. I think it's going to take some patience. Obviously, we've seen Warzone Mobile slower to that move than we expected. That's largely because like it's a bunch of studios that have never made a mobile shooter together before. But I think another great example of that is the Rainbow Six mobile development, which started out really hot. They were on social media. We got betas. Everybody come play the game. And they went radio silent. They've been radio silent since January. For the most part, they had like tiny tweets here and there, but they have finally announced that the Rainbow Six mobile beta is returning in June
6th, I believe. Yeah,
that sounds right.
We kick things off with closed beta June 6th, and then they posted something about a week ago. Because this is the closed beta 2.0, bro. We're not even in the open beta in the soft. Like they posted a roadmap basically, and in the open beta,
it's not like it's funny to me that they're calling it a roadmap because they have dates for the first thing on there and then they don't have dates for any of the rest of it. I'm like, this isn't a roadmap. This is just you telling us what's going to be in the game.
Bro, this is a map with no roads.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
What that is.
It's just like
always
floating
live.
Dates. There's no map. Map is not included.
Yeah, like I mean, I guess it's nice to know. They should have just said just what features are coming when.
Yeah,
what
to
remove
expect.
the dates. Yeah, exactly. Not a roadmap.
Yeah,
but then at the bottom it says information and timing may be subject to change. So that's not even like I know that they're not gonna hold themselves to the T on a infographic posted. But yeah, I mean,
roadmap was just not the right word to use there at all.
Yeah, but I mean, again, 4 hours ago they were replying. Links. They're replying information. Like they're still, to give them credit, like they're still there. It just is a very interesting bit of development. And I still go back to the fact of like, I just want to see, I really hope Rainbow Six has made some pretty big improvements in terms of like the gameplay, because we both agreed that in like an 8-minute match, it feels like you're playing for like 2 or 3 of those minutes. And it just doesn't feel like a very mobile focused game at the moment. Yeah. And so I want to see if there's been some adaptations, some changes made to take the Rainbow Six gameplay and mold it more to the format of mobile, which they seem to have got a lot of players first time around and a lot of interest. And so I'm excited to see what happens with this closed beta. I'll probably play it a bit, but I know I already spoke to Imo and he was like, dude, like I'm just going to be posting that game. Or like, I was like, what are you going to be playing? Apex Shutdown. He's like, I'm just going to be playing Rainbow Six. I was like, we're doing this again, man. Like the game's we're doing this again. We're in closed alpha, limited, partial release, beta 2.0, and we've got 5-6 months to go. And people, I don't know if that's a product of just not a lot of games to post, or it's just a product of like people like myself. I've kind of shifted I can really only post like battle royale content that does well.
Yeah. And
so maybe he can do like close quarter combat stuff, and like people already kind of like grouping them like themselves into different content buckets. What is? Hold up.
That was so what I sent was a trends graph. So it's like comparing Farlight, Arena Breakout, Warzone Mobile is for the last 90 days. So like obviously the top popularity is Warzone Mobile. So like 100 is the point of reference. I think I don't think like from that point of reference, I don't think Rainbow Six Mobile gets above like a 3.
Yeah, it just but to be fair, they haven't done anything in this year. Yeah. So maybe crank it back to 6 months and to see where on that map it blips up to.
I mean, I'll go 12 months overall.
Yeah. Oh, but then Warzone's just gonna demolish everything. Yeah. It might like skew the graphics a bit.
Yeah. It doesn't go above a 1 if you go back to 6
I mean,
months.
Arena Breakout, I will say they are doing a phenomenal job of building up a loyal player base.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about it a whole lot. They've kind of been behind the scenes. For me, the gameplay is just very slow. I would rather jetpack joyride my way into a trick shot to get a win on Farlight 84 than have to worry about, oh my god, I fell off a building, now my leg's broken, and I gotta apply a med kit to heal the bone sticking out of my body so I can walk to get extracted. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a phenomenally made game. It's just not my type of game.
Yep.
But still, that game is still in closed beta. They added like 120 FPS in a recent update, which is crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I saw Ice talking about it, saying like, or like one of his streams or videos saying they added like at least 90 FPS, like 120. So I think when that game goes global, it could definitely make some disruptions. But then again, it's such a niche style of game where mobile games are just super cartoonish, super arcadey. They're not realistic at all for the most part. So I hope it does well. I'm interested to see how its roadmap progresses, but that's been like a sleeper in the last few months.
I think not Farlight. I think Arena Breakout has the potential to be similar to what Tarkov is on the PC and console version. Like, it's never been a game that is loved by millions. There may be like a million people that love it, but it's never been like a mainstream game. People aren't like posting Tarkov clips that are blowing up, but they have a very small dedicated community that will like heavily support the content creators that they enjoy watching. So that's like Dr. Lupo's entire community is Tarkov. And so he doesn't get like big numbers on videos, but he gets really solid numbers on streams because the people that want to watch Tarkov, like, they all watch him. So I would imagine his overall view numbers aren't probably super high, but his watch duration is probably through the roof. And at the end of the day, like, if you've got 1,000 people that are dedicated to supporting you, that's all you really need. I think that's probably what the Arena Breakout community is going to look like. Obviously, ICE has been doing a really great job with that and has seen some growth. I think the ceiling for the game is probably very, very low because, like you said, it's just not. It's not mobile oriented in any way. Like, you need headphones. Most mobile gamers don't play with headphones.
Yeah.
You need a lot of time. Most mobile gamers don't have a ton of time. You need a lot of experience in shooters. Most mobile gamers don't have a lot of experience in shooters. Like, mechanically, there's a lot that goes against it, especially as far as what the majority of mobile gamers are looking for. But I think there is definitely potential for a small dedicated community there.
Yeah, I mean, and same thing, like, you need an unobstructed 15, 20 minutes of time where, like, well, most mobile games, hey, if I'm playing a ranked game in COD, it's 5 minutes. 2, I can leave for 2 minutes, come back and maybe clutch up the game. And, like, it's just, I'm interested to see how it goes. It definitely has some obstacles just by the characteristics of how mobile gamers typically play games. But once again, time will tell. Like, all we can do is speculate, and we might be wrong. It might come out and it's not gonna be Warzone, but it could come out.
It just can't be Warzone.
It can't.
Not that Warzone's even like the standard or whatever, but it just doesn't even have the brand notoriety. Like, that's one of the big things going for Warzone is, like, people know that name, so they're gonna try it. Like, Arena Breakout, it's not even like a direct Tarkov descendant or whatever you want to call it. So once again, a lot of obstacles, but the developers seem to be doing a really good job, and the content creators that are there for the game seem to really be enjoying it. And so if you can build that small community, I don't know if it's going to be enough to sustain a 10-cent development team, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, we will see. Something else we will see, or hopefully find out soon, is when Warzone Mobile is coming out. Because, dang, man, they be dragging this one along to the end of the road. Now, nothing officially has come out about the delayment. The delayment, is that a word?
Delay.
The delay of Warzone Mobile. Sorry, I'm trying to make myself sound way smarter than I am here. The delay of Warzone Mobile. But if you guys check your app stores, let me just triple, because every time I say this, I keep checking it and I'm still right. If you go to the App Store on iOS, this has never been a thing on Google Play, but in any region, if you look up Warzone Mobile, you're able to pre-register for the game. And when you pre-register for the game, it says coming soon, expected May 15th, 2023. Yep. Now, this date was published 6 months ago by Warzone Mobile. In the last few months, we have been getting the feeling that, hey, this date probably isn't going to be respected, and this is probably not when it's launching. And Warzone Mobile themselves, even a few weeks ago, released a dev diary with, like, the co-head of the studio, and he said in a really, like, weird, cryptic way, like, don't trust any release dates that are out there. Like, they're not real. You know, you guys will know from us when the game is launching. But then again, when you go to the official app pre-registration on iOS, a very respected app store, and it's been saying the same date for 6 months, you're going to lead a lot of gamers to believe it's coming out in 2 weeks. Now, the reason it's not coming out in 2 weeks is because, one, I'm gonna be honest, I would probably know about it because I'm the big man on campus. No, it's because they would be letting people know.
Yeah, they'd be marketing it. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you would be marketing a game. You would be posting on your socials. Hey guys, 2 weeks from now, go play. Usually, Call of Duty gives like a 1 month advance release date for things. At least from my experience, like for the console titles.
Yep.
We're 12 days out from recording this. No information, and they even said the game doesn't have a graphic setting. Okay, that should be more than enough clear that the game is not ready to be launched. But I'm streaming and I'm having people come into my chat saying, dude, well, I'm not going to play this game. I'm going to wait for Warzone that comes out in 2 weeks. And I have to explain to them why it's not coming out, but they can still just say, oh no, dude, it says it on the App Store. So I think Warzone Mobile is setting themselves up for some big feedback, a big failure where they could still change it today. They could just push it back 2 months and then retroactively fix it when they know the game is coming out. But because they have this date and probably half of the registrations are on iOS, half of the gamers who want to play the game think they can play it in 2 weeks, and they're going to be up for a rude awakening on May 15th when the game doesn't come out. May 16th, the game doesn't come out. An update might launch, and so they've done so many things right. But I feel like this is such a big L that they're going to be letting down a ton of people, and they're not doing anything about it. They're not communicating. They're not posting anything. They're just being like, hey, well, you guys are stupid for thinking that. Like, that's what it feels like. They're like, that's not our problem. That's your problem.
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong because our assumption is that's a placeholder date, and there's nothing wrong with having a placeholder date. You just have to tell people that it's a placeholder date because otherwise everybody's assumption is that it's the real thing. And like you said, for it to be 2 weeks out and we've had this placeholder date since
6 months. November or like December, November. Yeah, it's been like 5 months at least.
Yeah, you can't have a placeholder for 6 months and not like speak on it in any capacity. So maybe they're just not aware that it says that on there, and there's got to be somebody on the team that knows because somebody had to have typed it at some point. Like, I don't imagine that May 15th was just a randomly generated date that Apple pulled out of the sky and threw into the App Store. But
bro, they hit up GPT said, when is Warzone Mobile releasing, and it spit that out.
Yeah, I don't know. I want the best for Warzone Mobile. Like, I really want Warzone Mobile to do well, but I agree. It feels like they're kind of setting themselves up for failure. Just in regards to, like, community sentiment. Like, it's not necessarily something that's going to kill the game, but you want to have the trust of the community, and I think leaving that there for this long, not addressing it, and especially if they don't address it by May 15th, is going to be a huge blow to their trust, because everybody's just going to be like, you already know that there are going to be content creators that are like streaming until Warzone Mobile releases, like, and they start on May 14th, and they're just going to sit there refreshing the App Store for like 2 days straight, and then they're going to end their stream like, I can't believe that they lied to us. And so that's just...
You've got people like me who I'm just kind of a news guy now. I kind of take big things about games and I let people know. There's no way for me to relay this information in a positive manner. I can't make a video saying the release date's been pushed back or been canceled and make it seem like it's a good thing. Like, this is just when this news come out. And if this would have happened 2 months ago, like, the release date got pushed back, that's 2 months. But in 12 days, people are expecting to play a game. And because we know how the industry works and we know we expect marketing, we expect these big pushes and announcements, gamers, they don't know. They just want to play a game, and it says a date. They're going to expect to play the game on this date. So it's exactly like you said. The trust with the community is massive because if later on down the road issues start popping up and the only thing we have to go back on is when they lied about the release date or they just weren't too thoughtful of the players when it came to the release date, it's just setting themselves up for not building a fantastic foundation for that level of trust between the players, where if they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. Some game studios have that level of trust where they say, we messed up, we're going to do this, and the player's like, you guys are good, we believe you, it'll get fixed. Where Apex did not have that trust at all. It's a fantastic example of a game where trust was not there between the player base and the developers, because anytime the developers said they were going to fix something, it never got fixed, or it took ages to get fixed. So it's kind of a slippery slope of starting off this early on in the stage of not doing something as simple as just emailing Apple, say, hey, can you guys push the release date back like 2 months? And then being like, yep, no problem, done. It's kind of confusing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Obviously, Obviously, Apex has set the bar pretty low for every other mobile game right now. For those of you who didn't know, Apex officially shut down, I think in NA 2 days ago, and then in the rest of the world yesterday. But Apex Mobile is officially no longer in existence. It's so interesting because I feel like Apex Mobile is almost the reason that we started this podcast. Like, we felt like that was the first big stepping stone that we were going to use, and that was going to be like the launch into the golden age of mobile gaming. And so we had like our first podcast with Ferg. He had been grinding Apex Mobile. He was so excited to be making content on that game full time. We're like, yeah, we're going to full send it on Apex. This game's going to blow up. And then it very much did not. I think a lot of people don't realize that is part of the reason why, like, you and I definitely have a very bitter taste in our mouths around Apex. Like, people assume that we like wanted Apex to fail from the start, when in reality, that was like what birthed this podcast.
Yeah. Well, it's what that's a good reason why this podcast started. And it also, it just, I don't know, it really felt like we had gone through this stagnant period of, once Fortnite had got banned, there was like a 2-year period where basically nothing happened in mobile. Yep. Games existed, but nothing new came to light. And so we had this game coming out, Rainbow Six was announced, Warzone Mobile was getting announced, and we thought 2022 was going to be the year. So we're like, let's make this podcast. So we're going to have a lot of things to talk about. And the game came out, and because that was only one of the only games out that really had a lot of activity around this player base, around the content or the development of the game, we just could really only talk about Apex, and most of the things about Apex were negative. That's not something we wanted to say, but once again,
like, you guys never say anything good about Apex. Like, well, it's
what do we say?
Because they don't ever do anything good, and I think looking back, we were justified in all of our criticisms.
Very,
because like it shut down in less than a year, and then there's the "you killed Apex Mobile" crowd. Like, if you think that a podcast that gets like 500 to 1,000 viewers on each podcast is capable
shout out
of
everyone
killing
watching right now
a $40 million developed game, that your like perception of how the world works is just very, very warped.
Yeah, I mean, the one video missed. Well, no, I mean, but it was. I was gonna say the one video Mr. Beast made, like the amount of unique viewers who saw that probably outweighs all of the unique viewers who ever saw any of my videos. That's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah,
but a few creators who have a few negative, like, it doesn't negate the fact that I played the game every day for 6 months.
Yep.
Like, I might have had some negative things to say, but those things, it wasn't us being like, this game sucks, I'm not gonna play it.
Yeah, there was none of it that wasn't constructive in some capacity or another.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It was all constructive because I played the game every day. I want the games that I play to, one, be successful, so that way the community can grow. We could all feel like we're, spending our time wisely, and then my videos do better. It's a no-brainer. I want the games I'm playing on to be popular so I can make more videos, and then that way the game grows even more. But it's hard. Same thing about Warzone, like what I just said. It's hard to play a game or talk about aspects of a game when so many of the things, if there's a negative aspect, it's hard to portray that in a positive light, especially when the game had negative aspect over just like missed opportunity. It just felt like all I could do was speak negatively of the game because the things that were positive were just outweighed 10 to 1. So,
because I feel like the game only even had one good update. Like the season 2 update, I think, is the one that like fixed bee hopping.
But looking back, like the only reason people, and myself included, probably had as much fun as we did during season 1 was bee hopping.
Yeah.
Like it was a mix of that plus the lobbies were stacked. And then once they fixed the movement, there were so many bots in the game that because you couldn't move around the map at the speed of light, your lobbies and your gameplay, it was just so much slower. It was so much slower paced. It was less entertaining. It was more boring. And so that inadvertently had a huge downside, is because you were able to, artificially speed up the pace of your game because of this mechanic. And once they removed that, well, then your games were just the pace that it stayed at for the rest of the game, which was slow and boring.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. I don't regret anything about the way that we talked about Apex. I think a lot of people like look at it and are like, You just wanted to kill Apex so that COD Mobile could thrive. I'm like, no, that's just not really the case at all. Like, I was very excited for Apex. I was posting content on my second channel for Apex. But I think a lot of it is like, especially as somebody who is a COD Mobile ambassador, I have like direct lines of communication with people who talk to the developers. So when I have feedback for COD Mobile, I just talk to those people. I don't have to like post it on Twitter or anything. As opposed to Apex Mobile, there were like little spurts where they're like, hey, we want your feedback, but it was just like, we'll talk to a couple content creators, but there's no like constant line of communication. And I think like at the end of the day, communication was probably the downfall of Apex Mobile. There were a lot of things that were wrong with the game, but I think if they had built the community's trust, I think it could have gotten past that. But if you don't have communication and that many things were going wrong, then there's just not that much of a hope.
Yeah, I will say I would get a message about once every season saying like, hey, or some seasons, like I think it was one, maybe 2 seasons, I got the patch notes a few days early so I could prepare a video on it, which was really cool. But then again, it felt like the main criticisms that we had just never were really addressed. Like queue times, there were glitches that they said, and I think in 4 consecutive patch notes, they fixed the invisible caustic gas, never got fixed. And so I will say I had a bit of a different experience. I maybe had a bit of a better relationship with the developers, but it still felt like I was very much out of the loop. And it wasn't until they were never like, hey, we've experienced a lot of issues with blank. We've been thinking about doing this. What are your creators' thoughts and opinions on this? It was always, hey, we're just doing this. Yeah. And I'm like, I could have saved you so much time and energy by saying that's a bad idea because it ended up not working out. Yeah. So I definitely think communication, and which is why I kind of like Farlight 84, but it's kind of the same thing. It's a weird line of communication, like communicating through creators to then get to the developers. But they're at least trying, which is more than what I could say did in the scene of Apex. And so we'll see. But a game that, God, have not been doing any communication is Valorant Mobile, brother. Yep. What is happening? What's going on?
Valorant Mobile at this point, I feel like is more of a myth than anything else.
Yeah.
Like we know that there are people that have played it in China, but that's about all that we know about it at this point. I think there's trust there just because Riot is the developer. But like you said, like there's been so many announcements about what's going to happen with Valorant Mobile, but none of them have actually been from Riot. And so I think that's part of the reason why people are treating it more like a myth than anything else.
It's like a unicorn. Like some people say they've seen it, but can you really believe them? I don't know.
So anyway, the reporters on duty account, I think that was actually the former Apex leaders on duty, and it got like transformed into just like generic information. They were the ones that
it definitely was.
They were the ones that tweeted out Valorant Mobile as Riot's 4th mobile game will be tested tentatively late in 2023. I thought they were already testing. I thought that's what they were doing in China, but apparently not. And it's planned to be launched. What?
There's gameplay from a year ago.
Yeah,
like that's what I'm confused about. Is we already have gameplay that looks solid.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah. But it's planned to be globally launched in 2024. They don't give any time period for when in 2024 that's going to be. And then it says the game will be divided into 2 versions, international and China version. That's pretty much the case for every single mobile game ever. International version of the game will be titled Valorant Mobile. Chinese title will have a different name. Pretty much to be expected there as well. So at the very least, that's like a semi-reliable source giving us an indication of when to start expecting things. I'm assuming that probably means either open or closed betas that are going to be happening in the end of 2023. But once again, this is another title that has been talked about for a long time, and it feels like this just ends up being every mobile game for the last 3 years. Talked about for a long time, but a long time to actually get to the point where anything happens about it.
Yeah, and I think it leaves, and I've said this multiple times, it just does more harm than good of the way that the current schedule and the ecosystem is of releasing mobile games is you announce them light years ahead of when they actually end up coming out. And then so you have the hype that builds up and then dies off, and then closed beta tests that builds up, and then it's in a few regions, so it dies down for a few minutes. Oh, it builds up for soft launch. The game's buggy and it has to be fixed for another 6 months. Oh, it builds up for global launch. you can't only go up and down so many times to regain people's interest before a game just dies out of steam. But I will say Valorant Mobile is completely different because that game's going to pop off no matter what, no matter when it comes out. It's just going to be successful because Riot Games and also the current popularity of Valorant is absurd. So I have no fear of that game. But in an example like Warzone, I don't know, dude. It's definitely starting to feel more of like a July, August, September release date, but we don't know. And so my interest in the game I can only be captivated by the potential release of this game for so long before I just go and play a different game, which I've already done. I'm already playing Farlight.
Yeah, I think it's reaching like the same area that Rainbow Six Mobile reached, where they hyped it up, and obviously there were bigger events for Warzone Mobile, like you had COD Next, and then you had the London event as well. So there was bigger hype, but especially given how long it's been since that happened, everybody just feels like they're in limbo. And I think, like you said, like people just lose patience. They're gonna go spend their times on other things. Like there's only so much time that you can spend waiting, especially when you're not given a definitive date on anything. Which is another reason that they need to clarify that May 15th is probably not going to be the global launch, because they're just like continually setting themselves up for failure. But yeah, once again, at the very least, it's not like Valorant has been like trying to tease things. Like they're keeping things very under wraps, and I think this approach is probably like a better long-term approach, because you save yourself money and also like you give yourself more time to set proper expectations. Like you said, I don't think there's much of a chance that Valorant Mobile fails, especially if it's not developed by like a foreign studio. If it's developed at Riot, I think they're going to do a good job with it. It's just, once again, one of those big question marks in the mobile scene.
Yeah, lots of news. I feel like only a little bit was good today. Or it was just Farlight and the Mobis and everything. No, that's what I mean. Like, but I don't know. I feel like the reason we want to make this podcast is because it felt like we were just gonna be praising mobile games. But the last year has given us some softballs as far as home runs go for negative news and information. We're like, wait, it's not what I would do. I don't want to get on here and talk about 40 minutes of this has been put back, this is delayed, this launch went bad, this game closed down. But I don't got anything else to talk about. I also I don't want to just talk about Farlight for an hour, because then people say, dude, you're sponsored. No, dude, I found a game that's decent. The bar is so low, and I like playing it. Yeah. So,
guys, you gotta realize nobody has been sponsored by Farlight. Like they have
no one.
They are not spending any money. So if somebody enjoys playing Farlight, it's because they actually like Farlight. Just know that. So
I don't know. We'll see. It'd be cool to have some like Farlight tournaments, like creator tournaments. Like maybe I could give them $200 and they turn that into a tournament. Like I get $200 tournament out of it. Like I'd be willing to throw up some money to have some in-game tournaments for it, which would be cool. And there's some cool possibilities with that. But I don't know. It's already been an hour. There's been a lot of news. I don't know. I feel like mobile news just comes so sporadically.
Yep.
Like,
and when it rains, it pours.
Oh yeah, we'll go like 2 weeks of being dry, and then a week we're just like, bro, oh my god, we're all dying. Like, mobile game's dead. Then the next week, dude, the games are coming out that are awesome. So, thank you guys for watching the podcast. If you made it to the end, you're a real one. You're a homie. Thank you guys for sticking around. You can check out our other socials down below in the description. Myself or Bobby or the 2 Thumbs Up socials on Twitter. We do be having some spicy tweets over there. If you guys want to go check them out. Any parting words for the fans?
No, go like and ratio that one Warzone mobile account that quote tweeted us with bogus. They just posted a graph. They didn't even post any statistics. They like, how can we sort this trend to make it most look like nobody cares about Farlight? Yeah. And then they post it. I'm like, okay.
Bro just went into Photoshop and did the hue saturation slider, changed the color.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and we'll catch you guys very soon in the next 2 Thumbs Up episode. Deuces.
Bye.